Hello out there, Indie Adam here. I am with
Jason, John Beebe.
John Beebe, a friend, and we go way back. Before we were starting, you asked me a question about why War, because War was made as an action figure, was not on this magical wall of physical media.
Yes, it did.
That is because I am giving you War.
What?
I am giving you War. He's a little dusty,
Oh, man.
but I am officially giving you War.
Oh, you're awesome.
So he didn't have a home up there. He has a home there.
Right. My own action figure. Thank you, Adam.
I meant to clean him off a little more, but just a little bit of air.
The sword comes out?
Sword comes out. You can it's
right.
kung fu grip and everything.
Kung fu. Oh, it's got some sublime.
You can actually take the sword out and put it in your hand.
Oh, okay.
Is that your first action figure, by the way?
Of me? Yeah.
Where does War rank on your character levels?
On my character levels?
Where do you because you played some unique characters in the day. Where does he rank on the character spectrum of the characters you've played?
I don't know if I can throw a number out there, but being a huge fantasy fan my whole life and a warrior type fan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Beastmaster.
Well, that's what we call you. We call you the Buffalo Arnold.
Yeah. I mean, it was super cool.
Yeah.
I can't really put a ranking on it, but it was super cool.
The wardrobe. Because we have briefly talked about this wardrobe in other previous conversations. And I'm just curious, looking back all these years later, what do you think about the wardrobe of your character in that film?
Well, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people thought Adam wanted to really see a lot. I thought it was fine. I wish I was a little bit younger, or I had more time to get in shape, because I look good in the film.
You do, yeah.
But I'm also not in my 20s anymore.
Well, War is not in his 20s either.
That's true.
He's hundreds of thousands of years old.
Well, when you consider that, I look damn good.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I would say you're good.
Yeah.
I think you pulled it off. How was it like to walk down the street in Buffalo with that attire on?
Right in front of City Hall.
Right in front of City Hall,
yeah,
right.
I never thought that I would be walking half naked with a sword in City of Buffalo and not get arrested. It was pretty cool.
I gotta tell you, I still remember that day because there were so many characters. Mm-hmm. Because all you folks had these awesome wardrobes. Even I mean, War is one of my favorite characters in that film, but there were so many different characters like Death and Famine, all this uniqueness, and you all have so much talent. Yeah. And it was like watching you all on camera. And then working with Conquest, Jenny Russo, who you've worked with several times. It's like you're yin to yang now with us.
Not several, but yeah.
Twice.
On Fang.
Yeah. You guys are really close in Fang.
Yeah, I think we got good chemistry together. I think I don't know if we'll ever act together again, but I think we're capable of doing some good stuff together.
Yeah. I'm always reminded of the scene of you guys outside of the car in Fang, and you tap her on the nose. Yeah. And later on in the film, who taps who on the nose?
She tapped.
No. Doris taps you on the nose.
Oh, yeah. And
that happened before we filmed the car scene.
And that wasn't a direction. That was just me in the moment doing that.
Yeah.
And then, Melantha.
Yeah, Melantha Blackthorn. Yeah.
And she wasn't even there during the filming. She didn't know I did that.
No, she actually did it first because we shot that segment first, remember? And we didn't even make the connection.
There was some kind of universal consciousness going on there then.
Fang was a very unique film because you, me, and a group of us, we toured up to the Finger Lakes. Remember that?
Yeah, it was cool.
It was very cool. I've never done anything like that before. Did you ever do a film like that before where you were...
No, I've never gone to the Finger Lakes and got put up in a hotel like that.
It was different.
Yeah.
Very different. It was cool. You've worked across science fiction, independent films, mainstream films. You've done Fang, you've done Crossbreeds, you've done the Ombus Alien Invasion film, which is probably what you're most known for, which is what I'm most known for, our dual project there. Mm-hmm. What genre feels the most natural to you as an actor?
I don't think it's a genre that feels natural. I think it's honestly the character and the script. some characters speak to you more than others, no matter what genre it's in. And I think that's really what it comes down to for me. And also, I kind of, I don't know, I kind of hate to admit it, but especially now, because I've been doing it for a while, if I know the director and the filmmakers are taking the movie serious and they got a bit of a budget in there to make it look good, and it's like a passion thing,
Mm-hmm.
it makes me better as well.
Yeah.
You know, if that makes sense.
Well, I remember you saying something to me many years ago. I don't remember which film it was. It was either Ombus 2 or it was Horrific Eel Monsters. But you telling me days before getting back into, I think it was Ombus 2, getting back into the role, it didn't feel real to you because you came back for Ombus 2,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember you telling me that it just like you didn't have the same
Mm-hmm.
feeling. How did the two films compare?
Ombus 1 and
Yeah, Ombus 2, right?
But like the first one, I was on set more than I wasn't on set. It's first feature that second feature I auditioned for, and I got the lead. And it was just, you know, it was really cool. It was a really fun set to be on.
I know.
You know, and it was just like a different time.
I will always have a fondness for Ombus 1, the
Right.
cast, the crew. And I also will have another fondness for Ombus 2 because there were so many people from the first film that came back for the second film.
Right.
You have a lot of projects that have grit to them. And there's a lot of energy in your films. I've seen you do a lot of different types of work in your day.
It's just a product of the environment I got involved in film, being in Buffalo, New York, where there's not much Hollywood going on here. I didn't really travel and pursue it like I probably will one day look back on and regret. But
will you? Because you've done how many films?
Yeah. No, I love indie film.
Yeah.
I really do. Especially, I mean, you know, like
you were in Sharknado too.
For a little while,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, but you were in Sharknado too.
Killed a shark with a machete.
You did. How many people can say they did that?
Right.
But you also killed aliens. You know. I mean, there's other things you killed too. But I mean, look at you.
Right. No, I love indie film, and we've been doing it for a long time. So, like, you remember the days where, like, you just get some friends together who kind of knew what they were doing, and didn't maybe have as many responsibilities as we do now, and all of a sudden you're just like having a great time, and you know,
you make something
a month
magical.
Or 6 months later, it's like, let's throw this on and watch it on TV. We just made this.
Yeah. There are some films that I have made that I can watch and like actually appreciate years later. There's some films I've made that I'm just like, no, I'm not going to put that one in today. I think we all, as artists, go through that. Yeah, but Ombus and Fang, both films which you were part of, stand out as like my top two favorites.
Glad to be part of them. Both.
Yeah. I mean, Horrific, Ombus 2, all those, you know, Gore, going way back, Prisoners of the Dead, they all stand out for their own uniqueness. But like those two films, that experience we shared together, will always be something that I look back at dearly. What is your most physical or demanding role you've ever done?
I've had, you know, I had a really good fight scene in Crossbreed. I had a really good fight scene that when I go back and look at it today, I'm like, I take myself out of it. I'm like, damn, that was a good fight scene. In a short movie called Cappuccino Jones.
I don't think I've seen that one of
yours.
It's
on YouTube. It's got Mushaka.
Okay, Mushaka, yeah.
I'm in a fight scene with him.
Mushaka Benson.
Yeah, and that fight scene turned out really good. But Ombus 1 was probably most consistently throughout the movie. I was doing something physical. So probably Ombus.
Well, you were like running, falling
down hills, banging up against cars.
Cars,
crawling through streams.
Yeah. Coming home with snails in your pocket.
True story.
I stole that from you, but hey, you know what? That is the truth.
It's a true story.
It's a true story.
But let me answer real quick. The most emotionally one was a movie called Through a Mother's Eyes. And that was back in 2013 when I first got my SAG eligibility.
I remember this film.
It's a faith-based film.
Yeah.
Based on a true story written by Debbie Miller.
Directed by Greg Robbins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Debbie Miller, the real woman, was on set every day. I played her husband. She gave me her blessing for playing her husband after she saw me act, and everything was cool.
Yeah.
But it was a very sad story, emotional story. So that was kind of emotionally taxing. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would be because I feel like I've talked about this before with some people. Crying on camera, I don't think it's very easy to do.
Yeah.
But you have to get your body and mind, soul, everything into a certain mindset to get to that point. Your favorite film, which I know very much about because we talk about it often,
Oh,
The
yeah.
Crow with Brandon Lee
Yes.
from the '90s.
Yes.
And I just want to ask, with the atmosphere, the emotional themes that Brandon figure had in that film.
Eric Draven.
Yeah, I mean, how did that come? I mean, how did you become such a big fan of that film, and how much has that inspired who you are today?
So, when that movie came, first of all, I grew up as a kid as a huge Bruce Lee fan,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, Bruce Lee's son Brandon Lee is doing this movie, and it's all over Entertainment Tonight, and I think like Inside Edition.
I remember. Yeah,
Remember that?
it was everywhere.
Yeah, and they're showing little behind the scenes stuff. So on the set, they're showing little clips of Brandon being interviewed, and I'm watching all this. Bruce Lee's son's going to be starring in this movie, and then I see what the movie is, and it's like dark set, gothic.
It's not fighting. I mean, there's fighting in it.
Bit, yeah.
There's fighting in it, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like after his
but
father.
Dark set, gothic, things that I've always been into. Like I've had a Dracula draw since I was a little kid. I don't know why. It's just I've got a bit of a gothic thing to me, you know.
Sure.
So here's Bruce Lee's son starring in this movie that looks like I'm really gonna love, and I'm so excited for it. And then all of a sudden, actor Brandon Lee accidentally dies on the set of The Crow, and I'm what?
What? Yeah, it was big.
What?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't lucky enough to see it in the theater, but the second it hit Blockbuster, I walked 3 minutes from my house to Blockbuster in the city of Tonawanda. I rented it, brought it home, and as I was watching it, realized I was watching my favorite movie. And it's a movie that it speaks to me, and I don't know if I can explain why. I don't even know if I would want to explain why, but I just love it. I listened to the soundtrack over and over when I was younger. I bought some of the comic books. I've seen the movie a ton of times, and in the credits when can't rain all the time. Knowing that Brandon passed away,
Yeah.
I am on my couch alone with some tears.
Yeah.
Rochelle Davis, who played Sarah
Right.
in The Crow, and anyone who knows the movie knows Sarah Monster, As an adult, I actually hung out with her. And I never would have thought that 16-year-old me watching The Crow as an adult would be hanging out with one of the characters of The Crow. I become an actor. I somehow got connected with her on Instagram, sent her a message, and we were going back and forth talking, kind of forming a relationship on Instagram, talking.
Yeah.
And then one day she was coming to Buffalo for a signing. She messaged me. She's like, "Are you anywhere near this place?" And I was. She was doing a signing at the Buffalo Terminal, which I'm not that far from.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll try to make it there and whatever. And I couldn't make it. But when she wrapped up, she came over and we hung out in my living room for about an hour.
Wow.
How awesome is that?
That is pretty cool. You've met a lot of people. You're talking about how, independent film, is this, but you've met quite a few people in your day. Can you name a couple other people that you've met?
I kind of met Will Smith. I've met Alec Baldwin. I've met Daniel Baldwin. I've briefly met Vivica Fox, and she sat 4 seats down from me while we watched the premiere of Crossbreed. Oh, I've met Robert Forster. It's a shame that he passed away. He's a really nice guy. Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
I acted in a scene with Kurt Angle and met him. And there's been others.
Moving into Kung Fu Hustle, that's one of my favorites. And I'm curious, you got an opportunity to meet one of the stars of the film.
Yeah.
Did he tell you anything about it? Or, what is your thoughts on Kung Fu Hustle?
So Kung Fu Hustle, I put it in a category as I put The Matrix. I do.
Well, yeah, you have to.
The first Matrix movie and 300. The movie 300. In my mind, those two movies changed how filmmaking was done. No one had seen anything like The Matrix before The Matrix. 300 changed fight scenes and how they were made, and I saw them both in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Kung Fu Hustle is kind of the same in the same group as me, and you could argue maybe that like Mad Max Fury Road could maybe be in that category too.
Yeah.
But Kung Fu Hustle literally combined a little West Side Story. Actually, no, I would say it combined a lot of West Side
I was gonna
Story.
say, yeah, I could see inspiration there.
Yeah, West Side Story. It combined fantasy. It combined
Comedy.
special effects, and a whole lot of kung fu theater.
Yeah.
And if you combine all that stuff into one film and you do it right, you get Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah.
It's a very unique movie. It's a very fun movie. There's even some like Roadrunner cartoon influence.
Yes, there is. I was about to say.
Yeah.
She hits the wall. She hits the roadside, and all you see is her bra flying.
Yeah.
It's like what? in a slipper, I think.
Yeah.
But yes, I really do like that movie. And when he's like stabbing the one guy by mistake. So, anyways, you met one of the actors of the film.
Yeah.
Did he have anything to say about it?
No, it was a pretty brief meeting.
Was it?
I was in Atlantic City. I was taking Sambo at the time, which is a Russian martial arts. John Lehman was my teacher. You know.
Oh yeah, John Lehman, for sure. Yeah.
And we ended up in Atlantic City at basically like a martial arts convention / Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
And I had put on a demonstration in front of everyone with John, and then every other table did, and then they had like Renaissance Fair actors there and everything else. Walking through there at one point, and again I forget his name, but he come up to me, and he took my arm, and he puts it around his neck, and he goes, and at some point my phone got handed to someone, and they took the picture, and I said to him at some point, I was like, I'm an actor too. And he says just right away, I know, I can tell. Yeah.
Really?
And, yeah, and he was so energetic and almost kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Like in a good way. Like not like different than what I expected. Just like a real goofy energy he had to him. And then later that day we were all part of a banquet dinner, a martial arts Hall of Fame inductees, and he was up there being real serious as he was talking about that. But yeah, that was my brief meeting.
Did he talk about
I got a picture
Kung Fu Hustle at that?
No, because like I said, it wasn't that long of a meeting. It was enough to say I met him.
No, at the convention or whatever you were talking about that you went to.
I don't remember.
No,
this is over 10 years ago.
Did you recognize who it was as soon as he did?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Switching up a little bit, are you a superhero fan?
Yeah, not like I used to be, but yeah.
I've been asking a lot of people this. DC.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the current state of the DC properties, like movie wise?
So see, I don't know if that's a fair question because I kind of got sick of a lot of those movies because there's so many were being made.
The continuity was kind of fucked.
And like what was some of the last DC films that came out?
Well, at the time of recording this would be Superman Legacy or whatever that was, which
I saw that at the theater.
What are your thoughts on that?
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah. He didn't feel like Superman to me. But I also grew up on Zack Snyder's, Henry Cavill.
I grew up on
Christopher Reeve. Yeah.
Donner.
Christopher Reeve.
And in my opinion, he was born to play that role.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
No, I like some of the Thor movies that have come out. I like Ghost Rider that came out years ago with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Some of the Punishers and that. And if I had to pick a more modern Superman, maybe Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Henry Cavill, I really thought was a great Superman. He had the look.
Yeah.
He had the story. Like that Man of Steel movie is very modernized to a culture that I don't think you could take a story like the Donner version. I don't think that could be made today like that. You know, where the Henry Cavill version or Zack Snyder version, I feel like that brought so much more modern to it. And then I feel like James Gunn came in and he just did a little goofiness. And I don't like the costume. I don't like, nothing against the actor. I don't like the actor who's playing the
Yeah,
Superman.
and
Not that I have anything against the
and then you
actor.
got some hardcore fans who are like, oh, if you pay attention to some of the comics, it's right on. Well, apparently I didn't read those comics.
Yeah.
Um, I just I thought the trailer looked horrible,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I saw it in the theater. I'm like, I'm waiting for it to get better,
Yeah.
and it just like didn't.
Well, Supergirl is on its approach at the time of recording this. I do know some people that were in Superman as extras, and I know they said they had a blast doing it. But
I'm sure
being on set is different than watching a final product that's like a couple $1,000,000 to make.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are people that like it. I wasn't.
Did you see the Zack Snyder Justice League version? The 4-hour epic?
Oh,
Not the
4 hour.
Oh yeah.
No,
Not the Justice League.
Oh.
Not the one in theaters. Didn't come out in theaters.
No.
Because for those that don't know, Zack Snyder, one of the reasons why he didn't end up making the Justice League movie that came out in theaters and Josh Whedon had to take over was because his daughter died. And he had to step away, rightfully so. And somebody else came in and it made him their version of the script. So many unethical things happened between, like, if you do some research, there's all these things about, like, Ray Fisher. He had something with the studio. The Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, she had problems with Josh Whedon. Ben Affleck, he was to the point of like alcoholism. Yeah, I mean, these are the stories behind the scenes that like just because I really was tuned into all that, so I kind of learned it. But I think just Warner Brothers at all is just not a great company. It was just, to me, and hopefully Paramount, who's kind of acquiring them, will do better. But if I had to pick, first thing I got to tell you, Jason, is go see the Zack Snyder thing. It's on TV. It's really fucking good.
Oh yeah, Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's on Prime, but I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm sure it's
4
on.
hours
It's
long?
4 hours long, but it's broken into chapters, so you can watch like an hour of it and then stop, or 2 hours of it and then stop. But very good film.
Okay. Superman, by the way, is my favorite superhero. Has been since I was a little kid.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the most influential as a hero character.
Yeah, I love Superman.
Over the Crow, though.
I don't really consider the Crow a superhero, not in the same like universe as like Superman or Batman.
Yeah.
He's his own thing in my opinion. Even though he did start in comic books, Dark Comics.
For actors trying to break into the industry, what would you tell them? Like, even a younger Jason John Beebe, what would you say to them?
It's easier now than it was when I started.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more acting coaches around. There's some talent agencies around. They're building studios here in Buffalo. Honestly, I would say get yourself on some of the Facebook groups like Buffalo Film Extras and Buffalo Niagara Film, and there's different ones. Get on there and look for auditions. Maybe take some acting lessons. Search on Google where they're available around here, and you got to get your foot in the door somehow, and that's the first step. And you could definitely become an actor.
Yeah.
You might start off in extras, get a sense of if you like it or not. Most people will. A lot of people will be like, why am I sitting around for 8 hours for this? Find out if you like it, and then start pursuing it a little bit.
That's the one thing I never enjoyed being a director as, because you're the first guy and the last guy there. And that first guy could be at 9 in the morning, and that last guy could be at 12 a.m. the next day,
Yeah.
You and I made a film together years ago called To Release a Soul.
Yeah.
And we spent like almost 24 hours shooting that film, if you remember. Some was shot in my house.
Right.
And we had Britt Griffin from Ghost Hunters that
Yeah.
came out, and Melissa J was your co-star.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wrote that.
yeah, you did.
Yeah. You
And
directed it.
I did direct it, and what a crazy experience. I remember Mike, who is also Mike Sobrasi, who was a producer, was sleeping on the couch in my kitchen Do you remember that?
I think I do remember. It was a long day.
I know, man.
Didn't we shoot like 21 hours?
It was like 21-hour shoot. Everybody asked me, "Well, what are you doing the 48? You know, in Buffalo?" No, no,
Yeah.
that's not for me.
Right.
I don't need to prove myself.
Right.
I look forward to all those great films. I do not need to be a part of that, but I'm very I embrace all that. 3 things you love and 3 things you hate. I want to hear what Jason has in his arsenal.
3 things I love and 3 things I hate. I hate death. I hate death.
And nothing witty to say to that.
I've seen a lot of it. A lot of people see a lot of it. It's called life.
Yeah.
I hate death. Even if like someone who maybe talked trash about me or consider an enemy or something, I hear that person died, I'm still sad.
Mm-hmm.
I hate death.
Mm-hmm.
I could be somewhat of a little kind of sentimental at times. I don't know if it's the Italian in me or if it's just my nature. But, there's times where I've find a bug in my house and I pick it up with something and I walk all the way downstairs and throw it outside.
I'm the same way.
I'm not saying I've never killed a bug in my life, like mosquitoes and ticks.
Gone. Yeah.
But,
there's no excuse.
Right. But no, I wish that death was not a thing. It's a horrible thing and I don't like it. And my dad always had told me, my dad's a born again Christian, and like not fake. It's a real deal with him.
Sure.
And he'll always tell me, death is no respecter of age. What matters most is if you know where you're going to go when you die. And sometimes I think of those words, but yeah, I don't like death. Holy cow! I've only answered one. What are 2 other things I don't like? I hate injustice. Hate it. I just leave that there. I hate injustice. A third thing I hate is hate is a strong word.
I know. I don't use it very often.
Right.
There's not many people I actually hate. There are people I dislike, but there's not people I hate.
Right.
I mean, I do have a short list, but of hate. But
I guess I would say a third thing I hate kind of can be like injustice's first cousin. That would be hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, not only on like a smaller level, but like on making the laws level, on a cop level or a politician level, or fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Not a fan of hypocrisy. Never have been, even when I was a kid. Even before I knew what injustice and hypocrisy really were, I look back at my life then and I realized I hated them when I was even young.
Yeah. What about love?
What I love?
Yeah. What are 3 things Jason John Beebe loves?
I love good people.
Yeah.
Good, genuine people.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize, like, if you're having a bad day and you encounter a stranger and they give you a smile and they say a kind word to you, and it's not acting, they're just doing it because they're a nice person. That kind of stuff makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go on with that, but good people, that's a great thing. I love good people. Another thing I love is nature.
Mm-hmm.
Always loved nature. Grew up in nature. Grew up camping. Grew up kayaking and canoeing and all that kind of stuff. I kind of feel at home in nature. It's kind of my solace. So, that's another thing I love. I love overcast days. There's something mysterious and peaceful in an overcast day for me.
You just hear the birds. When you just hear the birds.
Yeah.
Or maybe not even the birds, but sometimes the birds give it an extra feel.
Yeah. Slight wind come your way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was 2.
Yeah, that's 2.
Third thing I love.
Unless you're counting the sky. That would be cheating.
I love art.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's 3 things.